What's up, Haley?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good. New member of the Freestyle Comics family. She's editorial over on the Emerald Quest book and helping out with some other venues. She's a real smart and classy lady. Met her at a comic book convention. She knows her things about some comic book conventions and panels. She'll be hosting this one. I got her in on host on this one because this lady loves a comic book and she loves a Kickstarter. She's absolutely like a super avid comic book Kickstarter fan. So I think this is more of a joy than an assignment for her. All right, I'm about to pass them all off to you, Haley.
All right. Looks like we've got everybody. Awesome. So yeah, this is What's a Kickstarter? I know that a lot of us know what a Kickstarter is just on our end as a consumer. And you guys have all had successful Kickstarters and potentially failed ones. I don't know about those. And we just want to know from your end, from the creator's end, what's a Kickstarter? So, Russell, you want to start out?
I've never heard of a Kickstarter at all. I have no idea what that is.
Kickstarter is a way to fund books. I use it a lot. I used it 4 times this year. It raised over $70,000, over $200,000 on the platform overall. I guess the one misconception that people have about Kickstarter is that you are just begging for money and you're not getting anything in return. So the main thing I like about Kickstarter is you must offer a product after a Kickstarter. So you're basically pre-ordering a product before it launches, sometimes a long time before it launches, sometimes weeks before it launches. But basically you are, it's a pre-order platform where you're trying to solicit money to make a book or a comic book or, anything. A lot of creative projects, a dance recital, a bunch of things.
Kat, what about you? What's your take on them? And I just got your stuff, by the way.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Yep.
Yeah. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, I feel like that's such a big question. And I definitely agree with Russell. I feel like it's a great pre-order platform. It is a way to fund your book as well, but I think it depends on how you use it. And I think it's a really good business model. And that's why we're seeing not just indie creators like us, but, big comic book companies like Boom or big creators like Scott Snyder using this and seeing that there's other avenues just besides Diamond to get your books out there. And Kickstarter is a really great way to do that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was going to jump in and just say that I used a Kickstarter, my first time ever in August of this year. And I had a really great time just learning the ropes in terms of just like what to do, what not to do. And also the building community aspect to me is really amazing because there's so many people that are on Kickstarter solely to support independent content. And when you have people that are that hungry for new stuff, I think that it's really a great market to tap into, and also just to get to know more supporters. And just like she was saying a second ago, that the bigger companies are now noticing what we have noticed for years, that this is really like a resource that we're just really starting to tap fully and 100%.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. Lonzo, Newton, do you have anything to add to that?
Hey,
Okay,
I'd like to first say thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be on here with such great people. I would say Kickstarter it's a beautiful place to build a fan base and to meet people that you would have no way of contacting outside of cons and just regular social media. So it definitely has those great aspects to it, and it can really help you build your brand and build a solid trust with customers because you're delivering product. They feel like they can trust you after your first campaign, and most of those people, they come back and it continues to keep growing from that standpoint. So it's definitely a beautiful thing for independent creators.
Yeah, and I agree with everything that everyone said about the Kickstarter platform. It is a great platform for pre-sales, but also just as a consumer of Kickstarter. Like before I even started my first campaign, I backed a lot of comic book campaigns, and just as a person who's a comic book collector, the platform is excellent too. Just to be able to find things that you normally wouldn't be able to find in a comic book store, creators who are super passionate about what they're doing, and just things that the gatekeepers aren't, deciding whether or not you're gonna like it. So from the consumer side, I think Kickstarter, great platform.
Yeah, I agree with all of you guys. And I mean, like Mike said at the beginning, there's a reason I got put as the host of this, because I have been on Kickstarter way too much since the quarantine and everything. I've put way too much money, but I love being able to find all of these amazing indie creators such as yourselves. And it's awesome that there's a platform like that for consumers and for creators. And looks like we have a question from Danny J. Quick. What's the worst part about Kickstarter? What's something that there was a learning curve, or you just outright were like, I wish that they would change this?
Oh, is it about it's on Kickstarter platform, or just the worst part of a Kickstarter? Because it's easily fulfillment. Like, it's the worst.
True.
Hands down.
Not only is it the worst so not only is it the worst because like there's just so many failure points, like that addresses can be wrong. I mean, and things I didn't even realize. So I've been doing this a long time, and I just got my first return because someone died between the time the Kickstarter ended and when I sent them the book. So there's literally just a million failure points into that. That being said, there's nothing like actually signing the books and getting it out and then having someone get it. But it's just, there's a lot of, like, once the Kickstarter ends until it gets in their hands is like, that's really, I think, where all the money is made. Like, that's how you really differentiate yourself from other people, because most people do it poorly and most people hate it. And even though it's bad, like, if you can make that part fun or that part good, like, you really have something.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
I agree with fulfillment. It's as Haley said, she just got our books, and it just took me like hours and hours and hours, and that's with help to get it all fulfilled. But it's also kind of the best part too, like Russell was saying. You get to sign the books. The thing you worked on for so long and so hard is getting to people who really want that book, which is really cool. From a platform standpoint, one thing I love about Kickstarter is that they keep growing. They keep trying to build on people's suggestions. Like one thing we're seeing is like add-ons. I feel like that was always a big thing. It's like, when are you going to add add-ons? You have third parties doing it. So it's nice that it seems like they're trying to add add-ons directly from Kickstarter. I would also say maybe mentally, while a Kickstarter is going on, is kind of the worst part. Like the roller coaster ride of, I just got 50 backers in whatever, an hour or whatever, and then like, oh, I don't have a backer today. So I think that roller coaster ride is definitely like the best and worst part of doing a Kickstarter. It's just like a very emotional journey in those 30 days to get funded or to meet your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. The roller coaster part is the hardest part, because it's really a mental game, Kickstarter. Because I'm one of those people, when I start something, I go like full throttle, right? Like, boom, let's go. So every day, you're like, okay, what can I do different, or what should I be doing next? And when you're in that mindset and you'll be doing it at 100 or 110%, after a while it becomes draining. So the ups and downs of that, is kind of crazy, because like one day, you'll reach your goal, and then next day a backer, who pledged $200 just drops, and you're like, oh no, I have to start. I'm starting backwards now. But and then another thing too is the after the Kickstarter. I'm talking about like directly, like once the campaign's over, there's that a week or two where you're still trying to like recoup from it, and like, you feel like, besides just the mental part, it almost feels physical too. Like, oh, I need to sleep more. It's like, so it's like it's just crazy. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Newton?
Yeah.
So like you did $30,000 for your last campaign, right? Like that had to be more than you expected. Like, did you feel like my problem is even when it's going as well as I thought or better, I still am bitter that it's not doing better. Did you have that on your campaign, or did you have a chance to like just appreciate it while the time was going on and ticking down?
So yeah, like you said, we hit 30,000, and I didn't really expect to hit 30,000. So that that was a surprise. So it was more of like I was in that mindset where I was appreciating it. But I definitely know what you're talking about, because my previous campaigns weren't $30,000. So I definitely understand that mindset that you're talking about, though.
I hear that. Yeah, I would definitely kind of add in that the roller coaster ride's a real thing. I think it's emotional, it's physical. I mean, you're dreaming about it. You're not going to bed at a regular time. I mean, you eat and breathe everything Kickstarter during the month, at least for me in that particular space. And the whole 30 days was a lot. And I was always thinking, what can I do differently to continue to keep them engaged? And this was one of those conversations that me and Russell had during the middle of the campaign, that keeping people engaged, helping them understand that, hey, we there's still a lot more to go. We still have lots of other cool things that we want to show you. So it was always trying to think outside the box to maintain that interest and maintain that excitement. So, I mean, I was posting a lot. I was direct messaging people all over Twitter, over every single, trying to cover every single basis and thinking, how can I cover that? And then once we did close, we had a whole bunch of like credit cards that like didn't go through. And I think that was another pain point where I'm just like, oh man, like so close but even though it was a small amount, it was still like messaging people like, hey, did you know your credit card bounced? Some people didn't get back. Some people said, oh, hey, I lost my job. I can't pay for stuff. So like, there's always like little things that it's like expecting unexpected. What can go wrong will go wrong, but there's way more positive when you have a great product and you have a great support base than there is negative. But there's still that little bit that kind of just irks you a little bit. So I would definitely say that it's still, there's so much that can be done with it, and I think that even with some of the pain points, it's worth it every time.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's definitely the roller coaster ride, um, trying to reinvent yourself every day, every week, and understanding that trying to be in 10 different places at the same time as one person, because every platform you kind of have to market differently. Like Facebook, you can't market the way you market on Twitter, or you can't market the way you market on Instagram. So every day I'm thinking about, okay, this is how they react on Instagram. This is how they react on Facebook. This is how they react on Twitter. This is how my email blast reacts. So every day I'm strategizing. It's almost like preparing for a fight. You know what I'm saying? Like knowing, preparing for the unexpected and and what could happen. Drop pledges. Like as soon as I see a drop pledge, I try to figure out how I can get that exact money back. You know what I'm saying? Like what that person just dropped $200. How can I get $200 right now? And so, I mean, I'm just constantly readjusting and just trying to reinvent yourself is really difficult in a 30-day span. 1 week is easy, but 30 days trying to get people re-excited over and over again is a crazy thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I ran 4 campaigns this year. I ran a 10, a 14, a 24, and a 31-day campaign. So I've run literally across the gambit, and I can tell you the absolute most fun is a 17-day campaign, or 10 or 17 days. Like there's none of the lull, especially a 10-day. The minute that your lull is over, like it's over. The campaign's over, and so you don't have to do a lot of that stuff. The last one I ran was 31 days, and it's too long. It's too long to do a Kickstarter. Like I'm too chicken to like run a 24-day campaign that's not like an anthology where I don't have dozens of people like working on it. But God, it's too long. Like it's too long. I was messaging people like the 24th day because I have stamina. This is my 13th campaign, and I'm convinced that like a month is too long. 24 days was like just enough time when like I was about to be gassed. But like the minute that I went past, like 22 days, I was like, oh my God, there's still 10 days left of this thing. And you can't just, I mean, I'm not allowed. I don't allow myself to be like, well, I'm happy with wherever the campaign is. So like, whatever, it's just going to be like I have to push myself for those 10 days. But I feel like I tell people that unless you have a big book or like something that you really, really like are willing to put every amount of effort and marketing muscle in, a 17-day campaign is just lovely. And I think more people should do them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just about to bring this up. We have a question from Danny Cooper. He says, as you mentioned, mainstream companies and creators like Keanu Reeves' project are now looking to use Kickstarter. What potential impacts do you see in the comic industry with mainstream using Kickstarter as a direct-to-market solution, circumventing need for diamond and comic shops? And what are the impacts to indie creators crowdfunding?
Such a big question, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on, well, I don't know, like a whole bunch of different podcasts answering the same question, so I'm gonna quickly take a stab at it. But I mean, how do I say it? I think it is a good thing because I mean, I think three of us, though me, Newton, and Russell, were running during the time of the Keanu Kickstarter, and as well as Scott Snyder and some of the big guys were doing stuff. And I personally think it brought more people to the platform, so more people were seeing some of our stuff through the recommendation engine, and they were again surfing for great stuff. And when you were getting a backer update from one of those big one of those big campaigns, most of the time you'd see Newton's, or you'd see mine, or you'd see Greg's, or you'd see Russell's, and that type of stuff really does help, because again, it's showing that, hey, there's this huge volume of people that are coming, maybe that are just regular local comic book shop buyers, or they're con goers. They're coming to the platform when they weren't there before. So I do think it's more of a positive thing than it is a negative, but I do understand that some people are saying, hey, big companies already have the money. Why would they come here and try to take from the pot? But at the same time, I just think that there's a little more positive than negative to it.
I definitely agree on that one for sure.
Yeah.
Who was talking, Newton or?
Me.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So I definitely agree with TJ. I believe it has its goods and its bads. More so good. It brings more attention to the platform, and it brings more buyers in that may not know anything about Kickstarter. Like, there's a lot of people that supported our Kickstarter that never used Kickstarter in their life, don't know what it is. So when big people like Keanu Reeves and Scott Snyder bring a whole new audience over, they can stumble upon our stuff, and that definitely helps. On the other side, I think the indie community really has to do what we've been doing and continue to support each other and share each other's work and keep our names relevant, because the more big people are going to come in, they're going to start overshadowing all of us, and they're going to get those top spots. The Kickstarter we love spots, all of those are going to be taken by the big wigs soon. So it's up to us to beat the algorithm and continue to share, post, and just pushing each other, because it is the indies versus the mains at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
And like, that's something that I've noticed, having backed a bunch of indie creators. I love the sense of community with indie creators on Kickstarter. There were so many times when I would get an update or a message about something I backed, and they would say, hey, I've got this friend who's also doing a Kickstarter right now. Here's a little blurb about what they're doing. Go check them out. Like, I just love that there's this community on Kickstarter.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of a different take on all of this stuff. Is like, so I also do novels. And so there's a sort of rule in novels that you want to launch a novel if you're going for like a bestseller run, when there are very few books that are launching that are big, because that book can only take up one spot. Yeah. And so I worry way less about boom and whatever. And frankly, big companies have been using Kickstarter forever. I mean, Pebble Watch used Kickstarter until they went under. So it's like, I don't have any, like, my fear is more the scope of how many Kickstarters are launching at any one time, and the fact that there's almost 300 Kickstarters right now, like launching right now, like today, right now. And so you can only back Keanu Reeves Kickstarter one time. Like, once you paid that money, it's gone. But when you have 300 projects instead of 150 or like 175, which we've been on the platform before, that's when you really have you have to disperse your money more across more projects. So if you have $50, maybe you disperse it $1 across 50 projects instead of $5 across 10 projects or $10 across 5 projects. I agree with what Lonzo said about supporting the industry and like supporting each other and like having these little pods that you're like and you're all trying to like help each other. But I'm much more concerned with the success of Keanu Reeves bringing hundreds of like new creators to the platform that are all launching simultaneously without bringing more backers. Because if we're all at the same pool, like we're all at the same with the same backers, then like 300 projects will get dispersed worse than 200 projects will, or with less money. So we have to really be thinking about like how can we bring new backers into the ecosystem so that we're not just all sitting in the same pool with the same people. Like we're actively trying to find people who have never used Kickstarter before and bring them in to make the fact that we're growing at 20, the platform is growing at 20% a month. We have to be growing new backers at 20% a month, or like we're going to see the cannibalization of each other's projects as people are spreading their money out across more.
Yeah, and I got one more thing to add too. So I was reading something from a post by Tyler James from Comics Launch, and he made one good point, which was the reason why. Well, one of the reasons why the big Kickstarter campaigns like Keanu Reeves is good for everyone is because of just the money wise, right? Because Kickstarter, they make their money off the fees that they get from the campaigns. Now, when you consider there's a huge percentage that fails, Kickstarter doesn't get money from that, right? But big, huge campaigns like Keanu Reeves, it funds Kickstarter as a platform itself. And if you want to keep using that platform and if you want Kickstarter to still be around, you need these huge campaigns. Just earlier this year, Kickstarter had layoffs, right? So they're suffering financially. So, well, I'm not sure how much they're suffering, but just because the fact that they had layoffs, it kind of indicates that they're not doing, as well as they should be. So big campaigns like that help fund Kickstarter financially. So that's one way of looking at it, instead of saying, oh, well, these big guys are coming along and they're going to ruin things. But on the flip side, they're helping keep the platform afloat financially.
Well, you're like, by having big things in the comic platform, you are showing them to allocate more resources within Kickstarter to this platform, just like they do with board games, just like they do with like tech. The more big campaigns you can bring in, the more money your category is driving, the more funds that the more Kickstarter can pay attention to that category and do more outreach, et cetera, hire more people for it.
But even if you don't look at the financial part, I think you could look at how many people, let's say a Boom campaign's bringing from Keanu Reeves, his fan base. We were talking about like, oh, you have the recommendations on the bottom, but then also I feel like it might bring people that are more Wednesday warriors to Kickstarter and realize, oh, there's indie books here. I might really like this idea. So I think either way, I do think hopefully we're also getting more people to the platform and them backing up more stuff too. But then that goes into, I think the bigger argument is that I think that these companies and these people also need to back up Kickstarters. They can't just see Kickstarter as an avenue to just be on and not support the ecosystem like we've been talking about. And one thing I think Boom has done, and I think you do learn the lesson as you go along. When Boom started their campaign, they didn't really have anything backed, and I think they were really learning the groove. But then just this week, they like gave $100 to like lower, like first time Kickstarter people for like 100 projects or whatever it was, and they gave a lot of money to it. So I think also learning the lesson as a big publisher, a big creator, and also supporting the ecosystem while you're also not having a Kickstarter going on either. You have to keep supporting other people and being part of the community as well.
Great. I wanted to quickly just add something because I was thinking about some of the stuff you guys were saying in terms of like growing the ecosystem with non-Kickstarter or non-regular Kickstarter people. I think what I've kind of experienced thus far with a lot of the new people who come to my campaign as regular fans is that they don't really understand the platform 100%. So they kind of walk into it thinking it's like a store. So like you add something to your cart, you add your address, and you pay for it, and you leave and one and done. And I find that some of those people are almost a little bit more challenging to track down later on, because it's like, oh hey, I still need your address, and I still need to know what T-shirt size you want, all these other little things. So I guess maybe as a question to all of us, do we think that if they change the platform to be more like a store and less like, you're pledging to an amount and then it comes out of your checking account 14 days from now, it comes out immediately, would that grow the fan base, will grow the community and the platform more with people who are in that regular space of just buying things via like a shop type of mentality?
Man, if they just put all of the money in escrow that you got in a campaign and like send it out or dissolve it afterwards, that would solve so many problems with like your cards not working 30 days later. I have people every campaign say, oh, I got my card stolen like in the middle of the campaign and I'm still waiting for a thing. They just took the money out when you got it, kept it in escrow or returned it. If it didn't work, God, that would make things so easy. But I don't think that you can just make it a store, because it's not a store. It's like part of the reason Kickstarter looks and functions differently is because it's not a store. Like you can't just put something in a cart and then say, I'm going to get this thing, because the things have to be ordered. Oftentimes things have to be like resized, or maybe there are extra things that happen throughout the campaign. So I would love it if they took all the money and put it in escrow, but I would not want to see a change to how the store functions, because I don't want it to feel like a store, because it's not one.
I think one thing they could fix is to put the surveys first might be very helpful, because I think a lot of people that are not as internet savvy, not as comic book savvy, or again, just not knowing of the world of Kickstarter, they get extremely confused of like, oh, I had to put my address. Where's my books? It's like, but you never filled out your survey. And I think because they just get confused, they might have like not remember, like we were talking about before, like, oh, they thought they already bought the book because they backed it up. And I think a big thing to hopefully help people that are not into Kickstarter as much is, get their addresses when they sign up and give the backing. Just like make it in that regard, like ordering online and putting it into a cart. It's just like all the information you need. Let's do it first and not do it, 30 days later or whatever.
So now, how would that work though if the project doesn't fund? Are they just going to send that money back, or?
Yeah, I think they should just refund it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then before you ship the book, you just like that you send a thing that says, is this your address still? Because that's the one problem with like the thing that we're talking about with web stores is, I just finished a Kickstarter. I have multiple people who 8 months after the campaign ended, just filled out their survey today. And so I had to go to the store. But also, like, I just finished a Kickstarter. I am getting the proof of my book in Tuesday or Wednesday. And then the book's not going to be here until January. So, like, what do you do? Like, you have to I would rather not get their address and just wait to get the address when they are going to get the book. But I think that at least you want to like get the address and then send an email that's like, hey, I'm about to send these books now. Is this done? Like that's what BackerKid does, which I've used for every campaign. And they send a thing that's like, we're about to ship your book. Is this still your address?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Russell, I like that idea about the escrow. I wish Kickstarter would do that. That would solve a lot of problems and make more money for them too, because they're fee based, right? So if they they'll get a larger percent of the payments that actually get processed. And then the second thing too is what you guys were talking about is the idea of backers getting confused as to when they get their products. Yeah, I've experienced that in the first couple of Kickstarters I've had. So I always make sure that, like, and I know a lot of people are just like me. Like, I read real quick sometimes, so like I miss details, and so like most people, they'll probably like read so quick that they won't even realize like, oh, I'm not getting this until January, not when the Kickstarter ends.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually take a lot of pain in like explaining people that, like, as soon as the campaign ends, I'll tell them like, okay, now that the campaign's end, you'll be getting the book, this date. So I go through like, I do a lot to make sure I explain to people, okay, this is what to expect. If the book is finished, I'll let them know it's finished and that they'll get it as soon as possible when it's printed. And if it's not finished, we're still working on it. There are pages to go, and then it'll get printed, and then you guys will get the book. But yeah, communication is key with your customers or your backers.
I mean, I like Russell's idea about an escrow, but coming from an accounting standpoint, there would be so many things that would have to be done to be able to work that out. And like Visa and Amex and stuff probably aren't going to be okay with you technically holding some of their money if they are later going to have to take it back because it doesn't end up being funded.
Well, that's what Indiegogo does. That's what GoFundMe does. Like they take the money out immediately. So, I mean, I'm not saying that they're not, like, I'm not Kickstarter, so I don't have to worry about those things. I can just say, like, these are things that I think would be good. But here's the problem with that. To like play devil's advocate at my own point is, I think one of the reasons that people are spend happy on Kickstarter often is because you don't have that money taken out. So you're like, $5, $8, $10, yes, $500, $300, whatever. It doesn't matter because like this money's not real. And then like the end of a month, people are like, oh, what jerk just spent $700 on Kickstarter this month? But you don't have to like think about it because you're not paying for it unless it funds. And so technically nothing is funded when at least I back usually on the first day. So like nothing is funded. So maybe I won't have to pay this money anyway. So it's like free money for me to just support.
Yeah, it's out of sight, out of mind. You're like, okay, that's a problem for future me. That money is a future me issue. Yeah. Yeah,
I do have a question though, because there's a thing that is starting to happen on Kickstarter as a backer, and I'm really annoyed by it. And it's people starting to charge shipping after the campaign ends. It's like I have a big problem with this, like just because I don't read stuff often, especially when it's my friends. I just like whatever, $40. Yeah, I want the book. And then like 3 months later, I'll get a thing that's like $8 for shipping. And I think this is like a really bad way to run a business because it makes people feel annoyed. Like when they're like, oh, cool. Like when someone has backed a thing, once the campaign is done, all I want them to have is good vibes from me. But I seem to be seeing a lot of people, bigger campaigns especially, but all campaigns that are like now charging me like 6 months later for money. And does anyone else have an opinion on that? Like, especially you, Haley, because like you're on the backer side. Does anyone else hate this as much as I do?
I mean, with it if it's an unexpected charge, then of course I have issue with it not being stated up front. Like I feel like if it's something that, hey, this all of a sudden came up that, all of a sudden shipping is so much more expensive and we need some help with it. Okay, yeah, I can kind of see that. But if the creator goes in knowing that this is going to be the case and they're not upfront about it, then it's a little more like, hey, that's not so cool.
Oh no, I'm saying like people actually put it on their, even if they put it on their pledge, I don't read that pledge. Like I'm just hitting the button. I don't know. Like I have a big problem with people that are doing this. I think it's like not just annoying, but it's like a bad practice for Kickstarter, on Kickstarter. I don't know. Like, but yeah, I should clarify that. Like I'm talking about people who actually put it in their pledge blurb that says, I will charge shipping later. Because again, it's usually 6 months later that I'm getting the thing that I've gotten it.
I feel bad for international shipping for that one. Because that's like always like you never know what it's going to end up being because, it's harder to figure out. So if they have that in your international, God bless your heart, because that could be like so much money on your side and you might not even realize it.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare for international shipping because that would be crazy. But I think, do they have an option to specify whether or not you want to do that for international or domestic?
They probably have an option for it because usually they have an option to say anywhere in the world or just United States. I'm guessing they probably do.
But yeah, to Russell's point, yeah, I when I first encountered that, I really hated it because like you said, it's a surprise, and now it's like, okay, you're charging me what, $10 to ship a floppy, you know? So it's like, if it was like a graphic novel and a couple other things, then I would understand. But what I found though is that first, people are actually acknowledging that people are backers are annoyed by this, so they'll write a little friendly blurb that says we'll be considerate and won't charge you the arm and leg for shipping. They'll say something to that effect. And then I've always seen maybe a couple of situations where it was kind of necessary. I think Keanu Reeves campaign was like that because you had to I think based on how many books you bought, because the campaign is not just for one book. I think it's like 3 books, right? So I think shipping varied depending on the tier, and I think their situation was a little complicated. So in a situation like that, I could see why shipping would be calculated later. But yeah, it's annoying. I think it's something that should definitely be avoided if you can. But if you can't, then do your best to charge a fair shipping price.
Okay, we've got to be wrapping up, but if y'all could say, like, where can we find you? Where can we get your stuff? Do any of y'all have a Kickstarter that's going on right now? Like, people want to know what you guys are doing and how to find out more. So please.
So I just finished up my Kickstarter. I think it ended on Tuesday. I'm so happy. I decided to take a week off, you know what I'm saying, and chill. Much needed rest, but I'm back on it on Monday. But I just want to thank everybody that supported and shared our post and kept it all the way concrete throughout. I'm excited to get the books out to everybody. And if you're looking to purchase our issue 1s, you can get them at www.concretecomics.com. And we will be uploading the issue 2s on there pretty soon. So thank you, everybody that's been supporting Concrete Comics.
Yeah, and for myself, you can find me on social media, right there by my handle is Dream Fury Comics, and you can see it right there in the right there. Or you can go to dreamfurycomics.com.
For me,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You go, TJ. No, you go.
No worries. Go ahead.
Yeah, for me, follow me at Comic Uno, at Etsy store at Comic Uno as well. Also doing a Kickstarter November 9th. Hopefully the pre-launch link will be available soon. And that's for Like Father Like Daughter issue 7 and for the whole collection as well. But that's the best place to find me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's definitely a pleasure to be on the stage with all you guys. I really love your work and admire all the stuff you have going on. And again, my name is TJ Sterling, presently artist of Ray Comics. You can find me pretty much on all platforms at Ray Comics, RAE Comics, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. And we got tons of great comics, so hopefully you guys can check it out.
And I'm Russell Nolte. I will also say thank you. All y'all's books are awesome. So go and check all of it out. You can get some free books, the free number 1s of Ichabod, our Cthulhu book, some samples from the Cthulhu book, our Katrina book at russellnolte.com by joining our mailing list. I do about 4 Kickstarters a year in the novel and comic category. I might try and squeeze in a 5th one for a book that I actually drew in November. But definitely going to do the 3rd Ichabod volume in March. So go to russellnolte.com and sign up, and you get all the info about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming to this. I had a wonderful time talking with you all, and I can't wait to find more things that you're doing.
Right. Thanks. Bye.
Thank
See
you.
you guys later.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Sound like I got some more people to get on the chat and draw this season. So I'll slide in y'all inboxes for that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on, man. Really
You got
appreciate
it.
Another great panel. Good job, everybody.
Good, Mario.
Thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're about to roll into the next one. Haley, you did good.
Thank you. Nervous as all get out, but
hey, but you got through it. You got one more to do tonight, and that one should be easy.
yeah, that one should be pretty easy.
All right, awesome. So we'll see you in a little bit, Haley.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so we got our next panel coming up, and it is happening at 4:15. This is all about making a story flow. All about making a story flow. We know about that, Danny. We make several stories flow. Veronica, that's what we can. We do what we can. This has been a great day, man. We're having a lot of good fun out here. I want to appreciate everybody that is. I appreciate everyone that is watching live with us right now. That's been here with us all day. Danny Cooper, we're at how much did you say?
Right now, $413.
We're at $413. That is including T-shirt purchases, comic book purchases, print purchases, donations. So thank you. Let's see if we can get to 500 before the end of this panel, because I got a nice little gift for it that's perfect for it. So I'm having a good time here. We just had lunch, Mr. Cooper and I went and got some Little Caesars pizza for the fam. He's got his kid over here. My kids are here. Veron's here. We just smashed out. And I will recommend Little Caesars pizza, the stuffed crust pepperoni bestest. It's the best stuffed crust pizza you're going to have.
It's ridiculous.
So good. So good. All right, what else? Well, we still got a little bit of time here. Let's get into some of this branding. If you did not know, branding is a reoccurring theme here. We are all about it. You know what? I'm actually going to play another Carla testimonial for you guys today, because that infamous Everybody Hates Carla panel went in. Let's go with my friend.
My name is Latasha, and yes, I will be joining you today to speak on behalf of Carla.
Awesome. So, and you want to tell everybody how we know each other?
Yeah, of course. We have been friends since school? Cleveland School of Arts. That's where it all started, where I saw the makings of Mr. Watson as he is now. Awesome. I got to see her from the beginning, everybody.
She did. The groundwork was all happening at CSA.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's get to it, because I don't want to take up a whole bunch of your time and whatnot. How would you feel about that?
I'll take into account the fact that initially she said that she wasn't able to do it because he lied. Mm-hmm. Then they came back to try to work it out. And now he's caught up in this whole, I had coffee with another superhero. It was not an emergency. And he did not let her know in enough time. Mm-hmm. So now she's just like completely against it because he wasn't honest.
Right.
I feel like at this point, she has now flip-flopped, because at the end of the day, if she's supposed to be so understanding to his title, mm-hmm. Things happen. And as a superhero, he can't walk around with a little watch and a reminder that says, make sure you call Carol to let her know that you're going to be late or something. That's just not in his repertoire as a superhero. So I feel like even though she thinks that she's able to handle that, she isn't. So you're not really able to accept all that comes with him being a superhero, because I mean, his time will never be yours. Mm-hmm. Because it always will go to the people that are in need most at that time. So we can hope that he can isolate a slot for you, but again, it's never promised. And women, outside of understanding their man's job, you still have women who have regular men who do 18-hour shifts and complain that they're not getting enough time, even though this is the person that pretty much is the sole provider of the household. Mm-hmm. So while you can have an issue, you really can't have an issue, because this is what you signed up for. So I feel like she cannot. Yeah, I don't think that's a relationship that she really could have successfully. He probably would do better off being with the best friend.
All right, and we're back. Those Carla testimonies are going to keep happening today. If I've learned one thing about Hotshot, people love this Carla situation. And I can't wait for y'all to see how this mother gonna unravel. It's gonna be great. Again, having a good time here. You know what? I feel like, let's see what we got popping. Now, in case you do not know, we are taking donations. We are trying to raise funds. I will have a total again very soon after I check the store. But we're trying to get as much funds as we can to help us make more comic books. It is what we do in this industry, making comic books. We have a good time doing it. And we want to continue doing it. We want to continue bringing these stories. So what we're asking is, at the little bottom, the ticker at the bottom right there that's going, choose your place to donate. All we're asking for is $1. That's it. Just $1. You can hit us up at PayPal, you can hit us up at Cash App, or you can hit us at Venmo. Now, if you want to give more than $1, I am not going to tell you no. I am not going to put it back in your hands. We will gladly take it, and we will make these comic books. If you want to donate by buying products, I have a great place where you can go get our comic books. It's my publisher because they're pretty dang awesome. Why don't you learn a little bit about Short Fuse Media Group? So, yes, shortfusemediagroup.com. There's this thing that they always say that we do. Deliver. We always deliver. We make it happen. You're going to get your books. If you buy the physical copies of the books, you will get the digital copies of the book for free. That's a great deal. Or if you just want to get the books now because you want to get caught up on the panels for tonight, because we're going in on Hot Shot, we're going in on Vigilance. We're going to tell you all the new hotness that we got cooking up. Actually, where's our checklist at? No, you're fine. We gotta get comfortable for this day. 1, 2, 3. Hold up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 9 titles that we're going to be giving you updates on and announcing. More than half of that's new. Half of that's done. It's just sitting in the holster. Bang, bang, bang. That's all we're doing. We're just waiting. Biding our time. But you're gonna find out about that tonight. All right, I think I have. Yes, I have wasted enough time. We're about to get ready to roll into our next panel. Be sure to donate. The ticker's right there. Let me see. Who is our host here that we got for this panel? Oh, that's D Coop. D Coop's hosting. So I'm gonna get off the chair and let D Coop get in there. Let's roll with why we're here today, to help us make comic books. Let's check. Hold up, Danny. I'm sorry. Let's check on our panelists real quick.
Right,
We're missing a few, so we're gonna give them a little bit of time. We're gonna check on our callers. Everybody's here. They're still by the phones, everybody. They're still taking emails. They're still here. Oprah, she's been happy this whole day. She must be giving everybody comics, everybody. Yeah. All right, so we're good. We're good. Everyone's still hard at work. They're taking your donations. Please, let's give these people, let's continue to give these people something to do, and let's get ready to roll into our very next panel happening now.